the United States men's national team is set to take on Costa Rica in the quarterfinals of the Gold Cup tomorrow, June 29th at 6 p.m. Central. They're going to be facing off against them at US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And that home venue is going to be very important for us going forward. Hey everybody, and welcome back to the T26 channel, where we talk about all things related to the US men's national team. And today we are going to preview the United States men's national team matchup against Costa Rica in the quarterfinals of the Gold Cup. Going into this matchup, the boys have every reason to feel confident, as they did dominate their group, getting 3 wins from 3 games. However, that information needs to be taken with a little bit of context. They've played a very weak Trinidad and Tobago team, they've played a depleted Saudi Arabia team, and they made their way past a Haiti team that we should be much better than. Looking at this, the most I can say is no, the competition hasn't been great so far. However, you can only play who's on your schedule, so the boys do get some credit for that. Now, going into this matchup, we face our first real test in Costa Rica. Are they the absolute golden generation that Costa Rica had about a decade ago? No, but they are still better than anything that this group of US men's national team players has seen in a competitive matchup. And that needs to be taken into account, especially when this Costa Rica side is anchored by Keylor Navas, the legendary goalkeeper who has elevated Costa Rica for I don't know however long, and he has kept many shots out of the back of the net, including many against us. He is a game-changing goalkeeper, and he can win this game for Costa Rica. There's no doubt about it. Next, we're going to look at a little bit of history between these two sides. And the U.S. men's national team has matched up against Costa Rica 42 times. We currently hold a 20-17-5 record over the Ticos, and I think that that is something that could get a little bit closer after this matchup. I do believe that Costa Rica has the ability to take a win from us. Now, coming back to the intro, that home field advantage is going to be very important for the U.S. men's national team. And while the stadiums are not selling out right now and the fans aren't completely behind the team, we need to look at how we've played at home against Costa Rica historically. Throughout our history, it's been a very even matchup. However, we have been dominant at home. Our home record is 19-6-4 against Costa Rica, and that has to be taken into account. Playing in Minneapolis is going to be an advantage for us no matter what. And our history within the Gold Cup is also very relevant. Sometimes a certain team just seems to have your number in a specific tournament setting, and we seem to be that team for Costa Rica. In the Gold Cup, we hold a 7-0-1 record against them. That is 7 wins, 0 losses, and 1 draw. That is a massive number that's going to be sitting in the back of Costa Rica's mind the entire time. Obviously, I want us to go 8-0-1 and add another win to our tally. That's possible, but it's far from guaranteed here. Looking at this matchup, I'm going to predict that it's going to be a very low-scoring event. Costa Rica, they typically like to play 5 at the back, and while they are still missing a few players, I think that's going to be their preferred formation, and they're going to sit low. They're going to try and let Keylor Navas steal the game from them and hopefully hit us on the counter. That's not a bad game plan, considering that we have a lot of trouble breaking down a low block, and we've been very wasteful with our opportunities thus far in the tournament. Yes, we've scored 9 goals in 3 games. We could have scored a lot more. We've had a lot of good chances go by the wayside. With that being said, I think that we are going to dominate the ball, but we need a little bit more defensive stability. Costa Rica's only scored 6 goals in the tournament thus far, and 3 of them have come from the penalty spot. So I think a solid back line, a consistent back line, and a defensively sound and safe back line is going to come in handy for us. We don't need the players bombing forward, especially on the wings. We need them to be sound and safe at home, because the rest of our team, our midfield and our forwards and our attacking players can dominate possession, and we can always recycle the ball. So I'm thinking that we're going to see more John Tolkien in the starting lineup, because he is a safer, more defensively sound pick than Max Armstead. Looking back at Costa Rica's first couple of games in this tournament, I just mentioned that they've scored 6 goals and 3 of them have been from the penalty spot. 50% of their goals have come from penalty kicks. That is a ridiculous number. I expect them to try and get us to lunge in and get us to dive in and hit us that way. If we can manage our fouls, maybe take somebody down outside of the box and be smart, I don't see Costa Rica getting on the scoreboard. I think that ultimately we are going to dominate possession, and they're going to have a lot of trouble putting the ball in the back of the net, no matter who's in goal for us, because their starting forward is actually suspended due to yellow card accumulation. So they're going to be a little bit weaker up top. Now let's talk about how I expect the U.S. men's national team to attack this game. And I believe that we are going to have our same 4-2-3-1 formation that Mauricio Pochettino has shown so much love for. And I've already talked about one player that I expect to see in our lineup, and that's going to be John Tolkien on the left back position. Moving forward, I think that we're going to see still the center back pairing of Tim Ream and Chris Richards, with Freeman hanging out on that right back position. I don't see him coming out. In our midfield, in our double pivot, I would love to see Johnny Cardoso next to Tyler Adams. I think that they still deserve a look. Johnny has just completed a massive move to Atletico Madrid, and that is something to be explored. I really think that the potential is there. However, he was not in training due to an ankle injury. I don't think he's coming back in time for this match. So I think that we're going to see Luca De La Torre next to Tyler Adams. As our attacking three, I think we're going to see Diego Luna, Malik Tillman, and Jack McGlynn on the right. We've seen Jack McGlynn on the right before, and I think that that's going to continue, especially since I have Luca De La Torre in our midfield pivot instead of Sebastian Berhalter. McGlynn and Berhalter can both deliver a good set piece, and if Berhalter's not in, McGlynn needs to be, because I think that the best option for us to get on the score sheet is through a set piece. And part of that reason being is that Patrick Agyemang is likely to get the start as our number 9. He's gotten every start so far. We don't know if Damian Downs is healthy, if he's fit, if Poch rates him, none of that. So I'm saying that Agyemang continues to get the start up top. And overall, there's a lot that can change within this lineup, but this is what I think Mauricio Pochettino is going to do. And I'm not sure that it's really worth exploring a pivot at this point, because he's seen his guys. And the only one that I think he may pivot away from is Max Arfsten, because we have enough dynamic attacking power to dominate the game against Costa Rica, but we don't have the defensive stability with Max Arfsten. We do have that with Tolkien. With all that being said, I think that this match is very likely to end up 1-0 in favor of the U.S. men's national team. It's going to take a lot of chances to get past Keylor Navas, but I think that we have the talent to create those chances. We've seen how good Malik Tillman has looked so far. We've seen how creative Diego Luna has looked so far, and I'm excited to see those two continue to go. And I think that if we have a set piece, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a direct free kick go in off the foot of Jack McGlynn. He's got the potential there. All right, guys, that's everything I've got for you today. Let me know what you think. What's our score prediction going to be? And before we go, if you've stayed this long, good for you. If not, that's fine. Most of you don't. However, I will address the background here. We have got a room in progress and hopefully a good new backdrop in the next couple of days or weeks. I'm going to open it up. I'm going to address it and say this looks terrible right now. If we can get to 1,000 views, my highest so far has been in the 700s. If we can have 1,000 people watch this, I will let one of you pick something that goes in my background. So if you're hanging around, try and share this, try and see if we can get some good numbers here, and I'll pick somebody to put something in the background. Let me know what you think. I'm excited for the matchup here, and hopefully the U.S. men's national team can get to that semifinal here in St. Louis. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.